The Shark Deck.
Hey man, Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Variety caught up with Mark Normand. He's got a special coming to Netflix July 25th. It's called Soup to Nuts. Listen to this setup. Since he was a kid, Mark Normand knew he was interested in comedy, but once his mother doled out VHS tapes of the Marx Brothers, Mark Normand's mom did that? Yeah. It became an integral part of his life. After watching it, he soon discovered comedians, films, shows, and specials from the past, all due to his mom. Mark said, I thought this is great. It's all jokes. It's hilarious. Still holds up. Then I went into a deep dive where you find Seinfeld, Carlin, Richard Pryor, and Eddie Murphy. Not quite the Marx Brothers there. Then it was my whole world. Mark said, I'm horrible at everything else, and I always loved stand-up. I always looked at Jerry Seinfeld, Steve Martin, and Richard Pryor like being an astronaut, so I was terrified of it. But I was so utterless and broke and had zero prospects that I decided, screw it, I'll try an open mic, and then I was hooked. I'm such a wuss. I'd go to open mics to watch. I was too scared to go on. I'd go to open mics and sign up and then bail. I wouldn't even go on. One day I drove to Lafayette, Louisiana, got really drunk and went on there. We went pretty well, and then I blacked out. They asked him the off-limits cancellation question a lot of interviews do. Mark said, my intention is not to offend anybody, but I think dark stuff is funny. That's why it's so hard and frustrating when people get upset or offended, and they're allowed to be offended, but you're like, I meant to bring a happy light to this. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I also think we've gotten this weird, almost a Pavlovian response to certain words. It's like you make a suicide joke and nobody cares, but you make a gay joke and they're like, hey, they're both jokes. I don't know why you're okay with me killing myself. I think we pick and choose weird stuff. It's interesting, but I think it's almost been conditioned us like, oh, this is bad, but this is okay. Well, they're both bad. If you're going to get mad about all of it. Sasheer Zamata has a new comedy special. It's titled The First Woman. It'll be released via 800-Pound Gorilla on August 15th. It'll show up on YouTube August 29th. By the way, 800-Pound Gorilla bought website The Laugh Button. They are really making a splash in comedy. They're going for it. That's good. They put out a lot of good stuff. The First Woman was taped at Union Stage in Washington, D.C. The one-hour show sees Zamata discuss getting scammed by dates, doing self-stuff in cars, and being visited by witches in her sleep. Wasn't expecting that middle part there. Rolling Stone caught my eye with the headline, Disgraced Comedians are looking for a second chance on Threads. All right, who were the disgraced comedians? And there's a picture of two comedians. One of them, Chris D'Elia, all right, he has been somewhat disgraced, and Dane Cook. And I'm like, why Dane Cook? Dane Cook isn't disgraced. Stay with me. We'll get to that. But first, Chris D'Elia posted on Threads, okay, I'm on Threads. And he followed up his first post with a link to his website, writing some tour dates. Rolling Stone reminds us in a recent Rolling Stone report, 10 women came forward to accuse D'Elia of emotional abuse and sexually predatory behavior. Some were teenagers when they allegedly had unsettling encounters with the comedian, writes Rolling Stone. The FBI has conducted interviews with his accusers, but D'Elia continues to deny their claims. Rolling Stone continues. Two stand-up comedians who made it big in TV but saw their careers take a hit. They're on Threads. They are Ellen DeGeneres and Carlos Mencia. Okay, Ellen and staff had some bad things to say about her. Carlos Mencia and Joe Thief. All right, we know about those. Okay. Mencia started on Threads writing, hopefully this isn't as toxic as Twitter. He also promoted upcoming shows and TV appearances. Ellen quickly amassed 1.5 million followers on Threads. She declared Threads to be gay Twitter. And here's where I'm confused about Dane Cook and disgraced being in the same sentence. I don't get it. Rolling Stone writes, but no embattled comedian has embraced Threads with the same gusto as Dane Cook, an A-lister of the mid-aughts who sold out arenas and went double platinum with his 2005 live album Retaliation. Between some Hollywood flops, okay, fair, on-stage misogyny, it's comedy, tasteless comments about a mass shooting, I don't remember that, and his own plagiarism scandal. Critics believe he stole material from Louis C.K. Rogan has accused him of joke theft as well. Cook did his iffy reputation no favors last summer when at the age of 50 he revealed he was engaged to his 23-year-old girlfriend Kelsey. After 5 years of dating, internet sleuths quickly figured out that Cook had known Taylor since she was as young as 17 and attending Cook's game nights, which were frequented by underage girls as well as adults. That timeline and the eyebrow-raising gap between Cook and Taylor are Twitter users branding him a groomer, writes Rolling Stone. On Threads, however, Cook is quite at home, alternating between jokes, showbiz stories, and attempts at inspirational life advice. Dane wrote, everyone deserves to be treated like an equal. Maybe your sole purpose in this life is not to have one but many, at many times, with many others. 800-Pound Gorilla News, formerly The Laugh Button, tells us about an Andy Kaufman documentary. That's great. Clay Tweel will direct the new documentary that will examine Kaufman's life and career. The documentary comes from Campfire Films in association with David Letterman's Worldwide Pants and Dwayne Johnson's $7 production. That's great. Andy's nephew, Tyler, said, "My Uncle Andy was a comic genius who continues to inspire artists around the world. There's never been anybody like him, and there never will be. He delighted and provoked and was just as comfortable creating anger and confusion as laughter. He made indelible impressions. His work is as vibrant today as ever, and we're thrilled to join this filmmaking team in bringing viewers a very intimate and comprehensive look into his life and career." Director Tweel said, "I've always loved Andy because he was able to elicit such emotional reactions to his performances by using both the poignant and the absurd to keep his audience off balance." I had an opportunity when we were at Sirius. We were going to do Andy Kaufman Town Hall. So Sirius XM, I think they still do it. We would do these town halls. You'd have an artist up. I remember one time we had Henry Winkler, and then Bruno Mars came by. That was pretty cool. So you'd have an artist up and you'd have an audience up. So we were going to announce one that Andy Kaufman was going to do one. And Michael Kaufman, his brother, who was in charge of the estate at the time, was willing to give us quotes from Andy saying that he was going to make this his return. So we were going to do this thing. I had this idea that would ask Kristen Shaw to host it, and we would just see what happens and see if we got some press out of it. And the bosses just didn't get it. There's so many stories of things I wanted to do that nobody got. Anyway, the doc is being done with the Andy Kaufman estate, who's given access to materials never before seen, such as private recordings. Very cool. A lot of buzz about the Barbie movie. Well, Diablo Cody said the Barbie movie that would have starred Amy Schumer was trying to have a girl boss feminist twist. She told The Hollywood Reporter, "The idea of an anti-Barbie made a lot of sense given the feminist rhetoric of 10 years ago. I couldn't figure it out because that's not what Barbie is." In the scrapped Barbie script, Amy Schumer would have pooed the bed because executives wanted an anti-Barbie narrative. Diablo said, "I think I know why she crapped the bed when I was hired for this. I don't think that the culture had not embraced the femme or the bimbo as valid feminist archetypes yet. If you look up Barbie on TikTok, you'll find this wonderful subculture that celebrates the feminine. But in 2014, taking the skinny blonde white doll and making her into a heroine was a tall order. There was pressure to deliver the dramatic equivalent of math is hard. I didn't really have the freedom then to write something that was faithful to the iconography. They wanted a girl boss feminist twist on Barbie, and I couldn't figure it out because that's not what Barbie is. I made several swings at IP with Barbie and Powerpuff Girls, and I take full responsibility for the failures of those attempts because I do have a specific voice and point of view, and I haven't figured out how to modulate it. I mean, nobody wants to delve deeper into the lore and mythos of hungry hippos."
Hi, I'm Mark Francis and host of a new podcast, The Messi Effect. Join us as we take you into the exciting new world of Argentine soccer phenomenon Lionel Messi and his new life at Inter Miami. Will bring you into the glitz, the glamour, the star-studded events, along with the exciting journey to a new world of U.S. soccer and international football with news and stories 3 times a week. Come along for the ride as Messi, Miami, and Major League Soccer experience the journey of a lifetime. Get the Messi Effect wherever you get your podcasts.
From DC is 2 weeks, dozens of new shows. What to expect at this year's Capital Fringe Festival. Taking over 4 stages in an office building in Georgetown through July 23rd, the festival will present more than 40 shows that are uniquely fringe. The annual festival is in its 16th iteration, bringing together roughly 300 artists from the DC area and around the country. Capital Fringe founder Julianne Brienza said, "When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Fresh squeezed lemonade will be available at multiple venues." DC Fringe has some of the highlights. They include 10 principles. Here's something you might not know. There are a ton of Burning Man enthusiasts in the DC area. They've even got their own Facebook group, and we'll hear true stories from some of the locals who've made the trek to the Nevada desert to experience a full-fledged, thriving, temporary metropolis. That show runs every night. Lauren Hance's solo comedy is called The Holy O, in which main character Vera contemplates becoming a nun, although she's never considered celibacy to be one of her virtues. That's tonight through the 16th. Charlie Ross's Comedy and Magic. A magician never reveals his secrets, but this one instead shows off his ability to do tricks while telling revealing jokes. July 15th through the 23rd. Hey Pamela, Yes Pamela is a partially improvised 2-person play from Pamela Lehigh. It's listed as a comedy, but DCS says it could be described as a thriller since one of the performers is given the script just 24 hours ahead of each show. Big Dad Energy. Kansas City-based comedian Jamie Campbell combines stand-up and musical comedy to explain the confusing experiences of getting married in his 40s and realizing he'll never be a parent. That runs through the 23rd. This Is What You Look Like. DC comedy troupe described as societal outcasts. Prepare to cringe as they dismantle your thoughts on everything from capitalism to Taylor Swift. July 20th through the 23rd. Who Did It? Well, if you're a fan of detective games like Hunt a Killer, this interactive comedy's right up your alley. This improvised murder mystery allows the audience to set up the crime scene. That one runs through July 22nd. And that It's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Mark Francis and host of a new podcast, The Messy Effect. Join us as we take you into the exciting new world of Argentine soccer phenomenon, Lionel Messi. And his new life at Inter Miami will bring you into the glitz, the glamour, the star-studded events, along with the exciting journey to a new world of U.S. soccer and international football with news and stories 3 times a week. Come along for the ride as Messi, Miami, and Major League Soccer experience the journey of a lifetime. Get the Messi Effect wherever you get your podcasts.